We've been joined by, you know, it's very interesting this morning. We're having a former Minister of Information in the previous government, and we've been joined by the current Minister of Information, Mohamed Rahman Sware. That's a very good sight. The camera people should have shown that.
I don't know why they did not. Can they repeat performance?
I know. But welcome, Mr. Minister. I know you're here to talk about, you know, the launch yesterday of the manifesto of the Sierra Leone People's Party in Kenema. And I'm seeing the People's Manifesto and sustaining the gains. How do we describe, how do we call this manifesto?
Well, so it's still the People's Manifesto. Yeah, but this is the People's Manifesto committed to sustaining the gains for sustained transformation.
Okay. I see the five changes. Five
game changers.
Game changers in the
five
manifesto.
Big game changers.
Which speaks to agriculture, human capital development, the civil service also. Perhaps you want to take our viewers through some of the highlights and what they intend to do?
Yeah, so the manifesto has, first, you know, like I mentioned, this manifesto is about the people. The people are at the heart and center of it, right? Like the previous manifesto, this was also informed by, you know, the sentiments of people, speaking to people across the board, you know, consultative conference and all of that. So it remains the People's Manifesto, right, with a different theme. So there are key issues here. Number one, the president has committed to feed Sierra Leone. So back in the days when we did literature, character assessment was what the person says and does and what others say about him. Already President Bill has been able to build credibility as a talk and do person. He recognizes hunger as a major, major problem. Many Sierra Leoneans are struggling with the challenges of daily survival. We also realize there are challenges with employment. We realize there are issues with foreign exchange earnings and many more, right? So that is why agriculture is a central plank in the next administration, in His Excellency's next administration. He wants to be able to address the perennial challenges we have, particularly with staple food, to be able to export commodities from Sierra Leone so that we are able to earn much needed foreign exchange. We want to be able to create jobs for the myriad army of unemployed youths. We want to be able to attract the private sector into agriculture so that we can make it sexy, we can make it attractive, particularly for young people. That's one of the central planks.
Are we moving from you know, quality education, the flagship program of the government, which in 2018 was the provision of free education to kids and to agriculture? Is that the...
No. So if you read the manifesto in totality, this is consolidating the gains, right? What that means is that we are continuing with the achievements we have already been able to make, right? We will reinforce them. Where there are challenges, we will transform those challenges into opportunities. So that's the whole point. So we are continuing with free quality education. Agriculture ranks very low right now in the pecking order of things. I think budget allocation there is around 4 to 6%. His Excellency says at least in the new administration, which he will lead, come after June 24th, he will ensure that agriculture is prioritized, budgetary allocation will be increased to that unit, and, you know, a whole lot of things have been itemized. Number one, we're going to focus very seriously on research, right? Number two, we're going to have, we're going to increase budgetary allocation, like I mentioned. We're going to be doing tractorization, right? We're going to mechanize it. Because if we want to feed ourselves and we rely on Adam and Eve method of farming, that will be a pipe dream. It will never happen in our lifetime. So there are many, many things that the president wants to do with agriculture.
When
we want to de-risk the sector so that private sector could put their money there, particularly in areas like agro-processing and, other processes.
Like the
along
free
the
quality
line.
education, when it has been the priority of this government this past 5 years, and we
Yeah.
saw increase in budgetary allocation to it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned increase in budgetary allocation again to agriculture.
Yeah.
So at least 10%. Does that mean the focus of government will move to agriculture, and the government is satisfied so far with the gains you've made in the free quality education?
We have mentioned we are going to consolidate the gains, right? That means 5 years is enough time to learn lessons. We'll take those lessons on board to make it better, to effect process improvements and better outcomes. So yes, we are consolidating the gains from all of the things we have done in the last 5 years, and moving forward, we want to accentuate agriculture, like I've mentioned.
Let's talk about one of the 5 game changers, which is feed salon.
Feed salon.
Yes.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yes,
Okay.
particularly in terms of the Tomabom Rice project and the achievements that that were made, and the gaps, as you've made mention, there will be research to follow up on.
Yep.
What went wrong or the lapses. What specifically would you say to? There was a particular time the tractors were outsourced to help in areas of employment. So in that areas, those tractors, there were many, of course. What's the status of them now?
So I'll talk to you about it. So I remember in the run-up to 2018, I used to drive through Fobe College. You had a couple of tractors parked there, and that's where people dry their laundry. I can challenge you, you don't have any of those tractors, those 410 tractors and power tillers imported into this country by President Bill. All of them are in farming communities. When we came in, we announced a policy shift, right? By that policy shift, we introduced mechanization. We also now did farm inputs to farmers through an e-voucher system. We set up machine rings. All of those are still in place. But after a couple of years of practice, we can now perfect them and move big on them, right? This year, we have reduced, for the 2020-21 agricultural season, for example, we did not import seedlings into the country. So we literally just did, because we have had enough, that was what we distributed to farmers. That is a step in the right direction. We have also improved on yields, annual yields, right? By about 21,000 hectares or something like that. Yeah.
There are better yes, there are better land tenure system now, in supporting agriculture. Earlier we
So
had.
you can go to your village now and own
Yes,
the farmland.
earlier we were speaking to the director of trade, and he made mention again in local content policy and the drive, to facilitate exportation, particularly in cacao. What have you done in terms of exportation of cacao as an achievement to the people of this country?
Well, so you are very right. You have spoken to the most competent authority in that area. He was here. He mentioned it. I listened to his brief. I associate with all of the things he said. Government thinks that if we want to strengthen our economy and build a resilient economy, we have to diversify. And His Excellency mentioned that during his inauguration. That is why he brought in agriculture, tourism, and fisheries back then. So that is the way to go. Even in agriculture, we have to be able to diversify, beyond reliance on the staple food. We have to be able to grow cash crops, export them and earn foreign exchange. That is the only way we are going to strengthen the value of our currency against other tradable currencies in the world. As it is now, we are virtually a net importer of everything, right? So until we do that, the perennial problem of the dollar versus the leon depreciation will continue. So we want to be able to take a big shot at that, and that is one of the reasons we are venturing in a big way into agriculture.
One of the heightened periods of the Bill-led administration was the Black Johnson, fishing project and the likes. What is the step in that direction? We haven't forgotten about the Black Johnson issue.
How could we?
Yeah.
It's very firmly on course. That is a total grant we have it, right? So that is firmly on course. Compensation has been paid to land-owning families. Some of them have been given alternative land for resettlement, and an environmental impact assessment has been carried out. So in the second term, that is definitely ready for takeoff. It's all set for takeoff.
One of the areas in the big five game changers or so is the creation of 50,000, 500,000
jobs in 5 years.
Yes. How is that going to happen? What's the plan for that? Okay,
so Sierra Leoneans, the president believes we should dream big dreams. We should deliver big deliveries. So remember, I just mentioned he is prioritizing agriculture in a big way. Already you reported here, and this is fact, he has gotten support for a food compact, from the African Development Bank. You are aware of that, about $50 million. So already this is a project ready for takeoff, right? So this president will go to work and begin to deliver results from day one of his next administration. He will not begin to think about what to do, this, that.
That's the projects that will create the...
No, that's just one. Among several others, we are de-risking private sector investment in that sector so that the private sector is able to invest in agribusiness and a whole lot of other things along the value chain. So, I mean, that is it. So agriculture, even as it stands right now, is one of the biggest employers. We have opened up mining. A lot of mining companies are employing people. But more importantly, we are upskilling young people, so that they are prepared for jobs in factories, in industry. You see, that's one of the big fives. Yes, we want to be able to ensure that we prepare our young people, young graduates, early school leavers, with technical vocational education and other skills to make them marketable and to make them relevant for the job market.
The 500,000 jobs, are we talking about skill or unskilled jobs?
No, I mean, it's everything. It's everything, right? In mining, for example, we have created thousands of jobs right now through existing mining companies. We have been able to give, for human capital development segment alone, in the current administration, we have given over 26,000 jobs in that area. I'm not adding the military, police, and all these recruitments. But we say, in the new administration, we will ensure that agriculture is given a big boost. It's as intuited in a way that is able to employ more and more people. Apart from that, even the private sector is going to be incentivized to not only train, but also to hire young people, right? How do we hope to do it? You could do it through tax breaks. You could do it through additional incentives. This is going to happen because the president is very concerned about the rate of unemployment. Young people everywhere are the engine of growth and development. We cannot afford to see our young people living by the day. We want to assure them sustainable and dignified sources of livelihood. By body culture, we want to be able to deal with it in a very respectable fashion. So all of these are ways we're going to be able to do that.
We saw how the Ministry of Youth Affairs, created...
Yeah, you mentioned the children of youth farms. Those are going to be bold
exactly, farms.
In ways you have never imagined.
And car wash, and all of that. So this 500,000 job, I just want to clarify, is it, linked to the feed salon, the agriculture attention or priority that the government?
It's going to be cross-cutting, not just agriculture. It's going to be in ICT, it's going to be in agriculture, it's going to be in tourism, it's going to be, jobs can be created everywhere, across the board, right? So it's not, we are not pigeonholing anything to say in agriculture alone we're going to have 500,000 jobs. Other countries could afford it, but the sheer size of our country cannot afford that per year. But be sure that when President Bill sees this, he will do it. We already have the building blocks in place. The necessary enabling legislations have been enacted. I mean, we have had commitments from development partners, and he has, on a personal note, committed to also increase budgetary allocation to at least 10%, right? Yeah, so these are all good. And this is a presidential initiative. This is a presidential initiative to create these jobs. And once it is a presidential initiative with a strong political will that President Bill has to change the lives of our people, nobody should have any reason to doubt it.
In the human capital development area as well, a lot of MOUs were signed with international non-governmental organizations, with the government of Sierra Leone. However, I want to draw attention, in terms of duplication of, service level agreements which were signed, to see that, of course, these NGOs do not duplicate what they do to Sierra Leone. How effectively are these organizations, or how have they helped the people of Sierra Leone in terms of health, particularly?
Well, so that's interesting. When we came in, we realized that was a major problem. You know, you had many partners intervening in some communities, while other areas that also needed support and assistance did not have that. So the Ministry of Development and Economic Planning set up district development committees. At these district development committees, all of the partners operating in that district sit around the table, talk about the areas of intervention. So it actually has considerably reduced duplication in the scheme of things, because that is the essence of those meetings. Apart from the big meetings they have here at DPAC level, Development Partners Committee level, there are district development committees, various development committees. These committees trash out, I mean, at that forum, development partners talk about the funding they have, the opportunities they have, and at that point, you know, they agree on who does what, you know, without having to duplicate their efforts.
Okay.
You know, still on health, particularly to what the Ministry of Health and Sanitation has been doing, there was a drop in terms of the number of maternal mortality.
A phenomenal drop.
Yes.
Very phenomenal drop.
In maternal mortality,
Yes,
maternal mortality, certainly.
Yeah.
However, what are your plans moving forward? Because again, there were instances, you know, where women died, sadly, unfortunately, because there was lack of electricity and the other likes. Apart from that, what will you do to ensure that that gain you have made, you keep it at that platform?
No, we don't want to keep it at that. We want to improve it.
Okay.
We want to improve it, yeah. So what we are doing, you see, there is a massive and aggressive move by the Minister of Energy and Power to provide solar electricity to communities off main grid. That effort is going to continue aggressively. And luckily, we are in the process of signing the MCC. This year, the MCC will largely address electricity issues in many places. And you are also aware of the 7 district electrification project, right? This is coming on stream now for many of them. So electricity will cease being an excuse, right? Apart from that, I mean, they are also been supplying solar fridges across, you know, PHUs across this country, so that they can preserve their medication and all of those things. Don't forget the district ambulance system, right? The chief ambulance system, where that's probably one of the reasons why we have been able to register this drop. People have a hotline they can call to when they need support, and this has worked very well. I have been on tour with His Excellency across this country, from community to community. That has been roundly commended. So we will continue to scale up these interventions to ensure that we continue to reduce both infant and maternal mortality rates. Now, more children have a fair chance of living to their 5th birthday, unlike in the years before we came in. So
yes.
slowly, but surely, we are getting there. You know, Sierra Leone is leading when it comes to this quantum reduction in 5 short years. We are set and very poised to repeat that magic. His Excellency yesterday at the launch of the manifesto noted that he's approaching, when he wins the June 24th election, he's approaching his next term with renewed vim, vigor, and vitality. I don't have any reasons to doubt that. You could see him exuding with confidence, you know, even on the campaign trail.
Okay.